Hello, good morning, friends. Welcome to Eng-lane English classroom. Yes, we have discussed the first part of the poem SSLC English, first unit, first poem, that is the lines written in early spring. Its first two stanzas we have already discussed, and I think you have enjoyed it. The poet William Wordsworth unfolds a world of beauty and happiness. His mood, you remember, he has a moment of bittersweet, or he has a bittersweet moment. He is happy, at the same time he is sad. You know what are the reasons? He enjoys the beauty of nature, but some sad thoughts come to his mind and make it think or lament or regret what man has made to man. He could hear sweet musical sounds. At the same time, he was pensive. We have mentioned it. Why? Because the thought of man who disrupted the harmony of nature made him pensive or thoughtful. Okay? Now, man disrupted the harmony of nature. What about all other creatures or living things? What might be the other things that made him happy? He heard musical sounds or blended notes that made him happy. What might be the other things that made him happy? Now, let us listen to the whole poem once again. Then you can understand all the things. Don't forget to observe the visuals too, that may give you some ideas about the lines that we haven't discussed. Okay, shall we do it? Right.
Lines written in early spring by William Wordsworth. I heard 1,000 blended notes while in a grove I sat reclined. In that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. In her fair works did nature link the human soul that through me ran, and much it grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. Through primrose tufts in that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its wreaths, and 'tis my faith that every flower enjoys the care it breathes. The birds around me hopped in the glade, their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least motion which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air, and I must think, do all I can, that there was pleasure there. If this belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man?
Okay, yes, you have watched it. And what were the things that made him happy? And which are the happy things that he mentions in the poem? And how do the other things live? You know, there is reference about plants, birds, and flowers, which are who live in harmony with nature. Okay? Which are the flowers that he mentions in the flowers or flowering plants? Or some plants he mentions in it. Primrose, you know, periwinkle, that's a plant with a certain type of flowers, you know. And are they happy? Certainly they are very happy, it is there. And how do you know it? Because they enjoys the air, they enjoys the air, they breathe, they enjoys it, they enjoy it, right? Flowers enjoy the air, they breathe. Now, but in the last line, he again says, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man? Why does the poet ask so? We know most of the things. We can read it and find more. Okay? I think some idea is there. You have got it from the first listening and reading itself. That is, after mentioning the link between human and the nature, he laments, he regrets what man has made of man. You know that. After that, he cites some examples for the happy life of some other living things, just like plants and birds. Okay, let us see more. We can read it and find it out. I heard 1,000 blended notes while in a grove I sate reclined, in the sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. To her fireworks did nature link the human soul that through me ran, and much it grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. Through primrose tufts there in that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its wreaths, and my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. The birds around me hopped and played, their thoughts I cannot measure. But the least motion which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. The budding ticks spread out their fan to catch the breezy air, and I must think, do all I can, that there was pleasure there. If this brief belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man? Okay, dears? I think you got some more ideas. We can discuss it once again. I had 1,000 blended note. In the last class we discussed it when the poet was sitting in a relaxed mood in a grove. He heard 1,000, that means some musical sounds, mixed musical sounds from nature. But in that sweet mood, some sorrowful thoughts came into his mind, and he became sad. In the second stanza, he says the link or association between human and nature. Here, nature is personified. It has some it is attributed some divine qualities. As you know, Wordsworth, as a pantheist, he thinks that nature itself can be God, right? And here he says nature can create some elements, beautiful elements. It has its own fireworks, and it linked human soul that ran through every human being to her fireworks. And then he says, what made him sorrowful is the thought of what man has made of man. You got it, yes? And now from this scene, in this lens, you can see what did periwinkle do? Periwinkle trailed its wreaths through primrose tufts in that green bower. And what is the poet's faith? He believes that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. That means every flower is happy. Now, what about the birds? How do they express their happiness? They are hoping and playing. The birds hoped and played, thus it expressed or they expressed their happiness or pleasure. Can the poet measure their thoughts? No, he couldn't measure it. That can have two meanings. That is, one is the poet could not measure their thoughts, and again, their happiness may be beyond the measure. That may be two meanings there. But what did he seem? That means it seemed a thrill of pleasure in the least movement that the birds made. Okay, now what is mentioned in this stanza? That is about budding twigs. What they do? They spread out their tender leaves to catch the breezy air. And what could the poet think? He could think only that there was pleasure everywhere. There was pleasure everywhere. Okay? Now, what is the nature's holy plan? Nature fills everywhere with pleasure. And it is sent from heaven, that is divine. That is, the nature itself can be attributed as God, and it is her plan. But man cannot, or man does not understand this holy plan. That's why he regrets that what man has made of man. Okay, dears, I think you got some ideas. Right now, let us try to answer the following questions. You can do it yourself because it's quite simple. What makes the poet think that every flower enjoys its existence? It is there. You know that poet feels that each and every bird enjoys the air it breathes. You know that. What is nature's holy plan? Nature fills everything or an everywhere with the pleasure. How does man work against it? Man doesn't understand it, and he disturbs the harmony of nature. Suggest an alternative title for the poem. That can be done by you. That is your choice. Man made of man or man versus nature. Just like that, you may write yourself. Okay? Now, let us discuss the poem in detail. You please listen.
Written in early spring, William Wordsworth. Summary. In the poem, Lines Written in Early Spring, Wordsworth tells that while he sat in a reclined position on a woodland area, he heard 1,000 mixed musical notes of nature. In that sweet mood, the happy thoughts also remind him of sad thoughts.
Okay, yes, you have got a clear idea of about what is there in the poem. Now let us see stanza wise. Through primrose tufts in that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its rays. And 'tis my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. Listen carefully. I am going to simplify this in our own language. Simply listen. In that bower, the periwinkle trailed its reeds through primrose tufts. Simply again, in that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its reeds through primrose tufts. Through primrose bunches, the periwinkle dragged its reeds in that green bower. That means primrose and periwinkle make reeds. You know what is reed, we can see that. And that shows a perfect harmony between different plants. And it is my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. The poet believes that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. That means all the flowers are perfectly happy, right? Then let us see here, periwinkle trailed its reeds. That is a good example for personification. Periwinkle dragged behind its wreath, and periwinkle makes it, so it is a perfect example for personification. And again, flower enjoys the air. Flower enjoys the air. Human beings enjoy something. Here, flower enjoys the air. That's why it's also an example for personification. The visual images, green power, we can bring it to our mind. The flowers, primrose, periwinkle, all this we can see, right? Next, olfactory image. Every flower enjoys the air it breathes. Olfactory, related to our smelling faculty, you know that, right? Next, bow, air. That is here, reeds, z, b, flower, a, that is here, breathes, z, that is b. Then here to the line scheme is a b, a, b, line words, bow, flower, reeds and breeds. You got it, yes? Again, let us see the words once again. Primrose is a wild plant which has pale yellow flower in the springs. You have got it? Tuft here means bunch or cluster or collection. Bower means a pleasant shady place under trees. Periwinkle, an evergreen plant with small blue flowers. Trailed means drew or dragged behind along the ground, that is trail. It is usually done by human beings or something like that. Someone like that. Wreath means an arrangement of flowers, leaves or stems. There's an archaic usage. It means it is, this. We read like that. And we can see the paraphrasing. He sees the primrose and periwinkle make wreath in a bower. He believes that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. In this quatrain means a stanza of 4 lines. The presence of nature as a living thing strike again. We can see here the nature itself is a living thing, you know that. And in this time, in the moment verbs used trailed, and the periwinkle breathes and trail. They are usually associated with the human activities for the flowers. That means different flowers are in perfect harmony. The primrose and periwinkle grew and exist in harmony. Got the ideas? Yes, I think it is very clear. And listen please. through primrose tuft in that green bower, the periwinkle trail is wreathed. No doubt, yes, that is in that green bower, the periwinkle, that wild plant that dragged its weeds along the ground, that grew along the ground through primrose tufts. And we feel that that's just a wreath. Got it? Yes. They together make wreath, and that means they exist in perfect harmony. And 'tis my fate, it is my fate, the faith that every flower in nature enjoys the air it breathes. That means they enjoy their existence. That can be the existence. They are very happy. I think no doubt at all. Shall we move on to the next part? Okay, yes. Now let us see some images. Primrose. This we have given the definition there. This is wreath, stem and arrangement of flowers. Stem is there, flowers are there, leaves are there. Then the periwinkle and the primrose all together make a beautiful pattern like this. Periwinkle, this one with the blue flowers. Okay. Now this is a bow, right? Bow. Next, you read this. Towards the concluding lines of the poem, the speaker looks more closely at the happy birds, plants, and other nature creatures. Now here we have seen only about flowers, that is plants. Okay. Now let us move on to the next stanza. The birds around me hoped and played. Their thoughts I cannot measure. The birds around the poet hoped, jumped in joy, and played. The poet cannot measure their thoughts. I once mentioned that may have, he cannot mention it. It has such a little meaning, and moreover, sometimes their happiness may be beyond measure. Okay? How did birds around him express their joy or their pleasure? They hoped and played. We have seen the image of hoping in that first video. I think you might have listened to it, right? But the least motion in a silly movement which the birds made, there was a thrill of pleasure, right? Thrill, thrill. In Malayalam, that can be avesha, romantic, just like that you must say. A quivering movement. In there, showing that a good kind of excitement. Okay, see, in every moment, poet feels a thrill of pleasure. He could see a thrill of pleasure. Okay. Now the visual image, birds around me hopped and played. We can bring into our minds, and the words you see: played, did, measure, share, made, did, pleasure, B. Rhyme scheme is A. Rhyme words: played, made, measure, pleasure. No doubt at all. Okay, shall we move on? Next, the word thrill, a trembling and quivering caused by emotion. You know that. Now let us see paraphrasing. The birds around him express their thrill of pleasure by hopping and playing in the grove. Though he cannot measure their thoughts, sometimes can be beyond measure. He can see a thrill of pleasure in every movement they make. I think very clear, yes. So shall we move on? Towards the concluding lines of the poem, the speaker looks closely at the happy birds. I repeated it because the same idea is there. We can see the birds here. Okay. Now, next stanza. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air, and I must think to all I can that there was pleasure up there. Here, he could see the branches sending out small twigs, and the twigs spread out their little leaves, tender leaves, and he says that is to catch the breezy air. That means the ticks, but the ticks also enjoy the breezy air, and they also enjoy their existence. And he says, one can think only that there is pressure everywhere. One could think only that there were pleasure everywhere. When we see on this side, we can think only like that. Okay? Now, see tactile image, that is breezy air. Breezy tactile means related to touch, breezy air. We can feel that. When breezy air is there, we can feel that. Visual image, budding things. We can visualize that in our mind. Next person with the budding ticks catch the breezy air. Catch the breezy air, that's a human activity. It is attributed to the budding twigs. Twig, small branches can be called ticks. We can see that fan, a, b, can, there, they, that is b. Like scheme a, b, same. And words, fan, can, air, there. Okay? Now you see, budding ticks means slender shoots growing from a branch. That means new tender shoots. ചെറുതായിട്ട് മുളച്ചു വരുന്ന ഒരു കൊമ്പിൽ നിന്ന് ചില്ലയിൽ നിന്ന് മുളച്ചു വരുന്ന ചെറിയ ചില്ലകളെയാണ്, കൊമ്പുകളെയാണ്, ആ ഒരു അതിനെയാണ് ബഡ്ഡിംഗ് ടിക്സ് എന്ന് പറയാം. അതിന് ടെൻഡർ ലീവ്സ് ഉണ്ട്, അതാ ഫാനോട് കൂടെ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. അതിങ്ങനെ കാറ്റത്ത് ഇങ്ങനെ ഇളകിയിട്ട് അതിനിങ്ങനെ ആസ്വദിക്കുന്നതാണ് ക്യാച്ച് ബ്രീസി എയർ കൊണ്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. ഐ തിങ്ക് യു might have got it. Again, paraphrasing also notices the budding ticks spread out their tender leaves to catch the breezy air. Clear? Yes. He says what all can think is that there is pleasure everywhere. Okay. He is skeptical whether those creatures are really full of joy. He concludes that they are really happy. That is what we have reached. Okay. Now you see, in the last stanza, he stated that, or it says that everything in nature is happy. So he says that is the divine belief, which is the nature's holy plan. What is nature's holy plan? Nature fills everything and everywhere with happiness and pleasure. But man cannot understand this. So he laments. So he asks whether he has no reason to lament what man has made to man. Right? If this belief from heaven be sent, there should be pleasure everywhere. All the living things should live in harmony. If this belief, from here too we can see some godly or divine attribute to the nature. That's part of his philosophy, I think. See, if this belief from heaven be sent, there should be pleasure everywhere. That it should be, if it is a belief or divine belief, and it is the nature's holy plan. Nature's plan is that there should be happiness or pleasure everywhere. Nature fills everywhere with pleasure. Then everything other than man is happy. Everyone other than man is happy. So the poet laments and regrets of what man has made of man. God, yes. Nature's holy plan, here it means nature fills everything with pleasure. Here nature is portrayed as a human being, so it is personification. Send to A and plan B, and A, man, B. Rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B. Rhyme words, send, lament, plan, man. Very simple, yes, it's very simple. Lament, a passionate expression of grief or sorrow. Vilabikuga, vilamo, you know that. Nature feels everything with pleasure. It is his holy plan, or it is her holy plan. So he experiences the utmost pleasure of world of nature. Everywhere there is a utmost pleasure. But what man made of man grieves the poet's mind. You got it? Yes, but only man cannot understand that. Men are not happy. Okay. In the fine stanza, the speaker says that if nature is truly full of pleasure, then he feels that he has a good reason to lament over the deeds of man. I think very clear. The poem concludes with the line what man has made of man. Clear, yes? Main ideas. Nature and humanity are contrasted. Nature gives pleasure or solace to everyone, but humanity disturbs all these things, And the living and non-living things in nature are very happy. It's seen the thrill of pleasure everywhere. You know that the happiness of flowers and birds is beyond measure. The trees blow their breezy air, and man is just to enjoy it. Nature's plan is holy, but what man has made of man grieves the poet's mind. Okay, now let us come to the activity 2. William Wordsworth's poem Lines Written Early Spring is appealing to the readers because of poetic devices. Fill the boxes with suitable examples from the poem. Yes, first activity we have done, the answer is given there in this worksheet attached with notes attached with this lesson. And here this one is very simple. You have to find out the poetic devices. We have already done it along with each and every stanza. What you have to do is simply pick them and post it and study it, learn it. Then only after that you post it in the box in the textbook. No need of spending time on that. Okay. Now, to her fireworks did nature lean, the human soul that through me ran. These lines speak about man's vital relationship with nature. Discuss and write an appreciation of the poem. Okay, yes. Now let us see how to write an appreciation. You have learned that an appreciation can have the following ingredients. Okay. See, introduction should be there. That should be about the author and main theme. The author is William Wordsworth, and main theme we have. Then he praises the beauty of or glory of nature, and he celebrates the relation between human beings and nature. That is the main theme. Literal meaning, paraphrasing. That is the exact meaning of those lines we have discussed along with each and every stanza. You can revisit it or visit again. Imagery, images, that too we have discussed. Visual, olfactory and auditory images are there. And lyrical qualities, sound, rhymes, it is a very beautiful poem with good lyrical qualities. That is the very far external beauty is there in the lyrical qualities. Rhymes, rhyme scheme is there, rhyme words are there, many alliterations are there. We can enjoy it listening to the music. Okay, its musical qualities. You can write it. Figurative meaning, poetic devices. There are some metaphors and personification, hyperbole. We have mentioned it. Message conveyed. We should live in harmony with nature, and justification should be there. All are there in the lesson. When we discuss lesson, it has already done. It has been already done. Okay, you see the justification. Everything in the world is the nature is happy, and it is the nature's holy plan too. So we should live in harmony with nature, and man should be happy too. Conclusion. You can write this one of the best appreciated poems by William Shakespeare. Just like that, you may write. Okay, yes, you try it yourself, and assemble is there with the notes. You can go through that after writing it yourself. Okay, now watch this one.
to nature link, the human soul that through me ran, and much it grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. Through primrose tufts and that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its wreaths, and 'tis my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. The birds around me hopped and played, their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least motion which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. Twigs spread out their fan and catch the breezy air, and I must think and do all I can, that there was pleasure there. If this belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man?
Okay, yes. Now, hope you have learned what we have discussed is quite simple. You can learn it very easily, but along with that, you can find some more poems written on this theme. You can watch it and you can enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Meet you again. Till then, goodbye.